Welcome today, everyone. I'm Keith Boswell. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at ADHD Online. This is the second part in our three-part series with Lisa Woodruff on how to get better organized. We're very excited about today's webinar. We appreciate everyone that's joining. Just to get it out of the way early, and we'll be sure to remind throughout, the recording of the webinar will be available afterwards on our website. It usually takes us about a week after to get that up. We encourage you throughout the session today to use the Q&A or chat to post your questions. And when Lisa's done with her presentation, we'll open it up to questions and we'll get through as many of those as we can. So last time, I know we talked about a lot of the research that you've done, Lisa, around homework and housework in the 21st century was fascinating. I know I learned a lot. So thank you for joining us again today. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, and I'll go off camera and we can, I'll rejoin when we get ready to take questions.
Okay, great. Keith, thank you so much. We are going to go into our third of four presentations. This is the third of four times I'm going to be presenting. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start the slideshow. And then the Q&A is always so interesting at the end. So I'd like to really get to that. No, that's not what I want to do. How about that one? There we go. So today we're going to talk about the state of home organization. Last time we talked about the state of housework. So again, I'm Lisa Woodruff. I'm the founder of Organize 365, and I like to hang out on my podcast if you want to hear more. So there are three research studies that Organize 365 conducted in 2021. And the first one we talked about last time, which was the state of housework in the home. And that basically is saying that there is work to do at home. How much work is there and how do we reduce that amount? Today, we're going to talk about the state of home organization. That what is organization? What does it look like when we are done organized? And then when I come back on the 29th, we'll be talking about the weight of paper. How much paper do we have? What are we going to do with this paper? And how can we safely store it? So just to remind you from last time, the type of work that is done at home is four kinds of work. One is cleaning. That's anything that a maid service could do for you. The next one is home maintenance. You do not have home maintenance if you don't own your residence, but if you do, home maintenance is a current investment of money for a future return on exponential money. Tasks of daily living sometimes is called cleaning, but it's actually not cleaning. Tasks of daily living are things that you need to do for yourself as a human being. And these tasks follow you wherever you go. They follow you on vacation, they're with you as soon as you're born, and they're with you until you pass away. So that would be caring for your body, laundry, meal planning, meal preparation. Those follow you everywhere you go. They are harder to outsource than cleaning would be. And then the final one is home organization. So we got some good stats on home organization in our very first study. And we got so many that I did a study just on home organization alone. Oh, sorry. This one we just went through. So in that first study, we found that 84% of Americans believe that organization is a learnable skill. When we did the study just on home organization, that number went up to 87%, which is awesome. And I published a book last summer called Organization as a Learnable Skill. It's my story from 2012 when I was turning 40 and nothing was organized in my entire house. And I had to get reorganized again because we have these cycles in life where we actually get reorganized. So that's my story. So some of the statistics that came from our first study, which led to the second study, were this. Men and women both agree that they consider their home to be organized most when everything appears to be in its place. I remember my dad was walking through the kitchen, he picked up nail clippers and he handed them to me and he said, put them away. And I was 13. I said, Dad, I don't know where they go. And he said, find a place. And like the way he said it, I will never forget it. Like people want to know, where do things need to be put away? And then once you get organized, the way men and women feel is different. first of all, we all feel accomplished. Like when you have an organized space, like you feel like you are the boss, you've got an A, like you are accomplished. But for women, they also feel relief, like, oh, finally, it's organized. For men, they tend to feel relaxed and in control, which are different feelings inside of your body. So we're going for organization gives us different feelings when we feel like we have accomplished that task. So 70% of women and 64% of men, these are high percentages, say they are constantly trying to improve the look and feel of their home. Constantly, not every once in a while, but constantly. This means that we are not enjoying and relaxing in our homes. We know there's work to be done, and we're constantly looking to see what work is left to be done. 75% of Americans think that having an organized home is a sign of confidence. Do you? Do you think it's a sign of confidence when you go into someone else's home and see that it is organized? And 53% of millennials and 43% of women rarely feel satisfied with the organization of their home. That's 1 in 2 are walking into their house and they are not satisfied with the organization level they see there. 72% of Americans think a person who keeps a clean and organized house is better prepared to lead. And 79% believe that organization changes as you go through life stages. That's why when I turned 40, I had to reorganize my entire house again. So all of this came from the first study, and this is the second study we're going to talk about now. And I thought, okay, so if 84% of Americans believe that organization is a learnable skill, and they believe that organized people are better able to lead, and yet the majority of people who are answering the survey are constantly trying to look and improve the organization of their home, I said, let's do a study just on organization. Like, let's do a study and just find out specifically about organizing. How organized are people? How do they get organized? Which areas of their homes are organized and which areas of their homes are not? So before you do academic research, you need to look at the research that is already out there. Brace yourself. I hope you're sitting down. The research that was done until we did ours basically concluded that home organization was an optional hobby undertaken by women as a hobby. I'm like, what? An optional hobby that's undertaken by women. I'm like, no, organization is essential. Organization is the investment of today's time to return on exponential time in the future. This is literally where time comes from. But a survey had not been done to prove that. I thought, okay, well, we are going to do our own survey. And one of the things that I have observed in Organized 365 is that on the left-hand side of the screen, you see Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So we need to have our psychological needs met, and then our safety needs, and then feel that we have love and belonging, and we could grow our self-esteem, and then we could get to self-actualization. And in school and work, those first 2 and 3 are usually provided by the environment, so you can move right up to the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But in the household, you have to create the physiological needs, and then you have to create your own safety needs, and then you have to create your love and belonging needs. And in a household, if gas is now $5.50 a gallon and it used to be $3.50, and you have to redo your whole budget, all of a sudden you're back down to your safety needs. Or someone gets the flu and the laundry gets all piled up and there's no food in the house, all of a sudden you're down to your psychological needs, and you're constantly playing chutes and ladders where you're climbing up this pyramid and you're sliding down the slide, and you slide down so fast that you have to climb back up. And so it's been my mission to create a path to self-actualization at home, which I call your unique purpose. And then you guys will love this because we're in the ADHD community. I have this little block of Swiss cheese that I hold up. What we have at home is Swiss cheese learning and Swiss cheese organizing. I learned this from Barbara Hunter at Springer School and Center. And when my kids were going there, they were diagnosed with ADHD and learning disabilities. And she was doing a presentation to the parents, and she said, students with ADHD have Swiss cheese learning. And what this means is their working memory doesn't always allow them to retrieve the information that they've actually already learned. It's very frustrating for the teacher and the student, because they do actually know their shapes. But when you quiz them in the morning, they don't remember them. And then in the afternoon, when they know them, the test is already over and they haven't passed the test. And so I understood this idea of we know how to do something, or we do things in a certain order, or maybe you're doing a multi-step process and you skip one step and then the whole answer is wrong. And so I understood intuitively that there was this Swiss cheese learning that was associated with ADHD. And as I started to reflect on this whole organizational home organization industry, I thought, I think we have Swiss cheese organizing. And the reason why I think we have Swiss cheese organizing is because, oh wait, this is going to give away. Let me see. Yeah. Forget what the slide is next. Because 84% of us believe that organization is a learnable skill. If we have 53% of millennials saying they're constantly trying to look and improve the organization at home, it's learnable, but I haven't learned it yet. And as a teacher, I believe that only teachers can fail to teach. Students cannot fail to learn. So if you want to learn the skill of organizing and you believe the skill of organizing is learnable, then you just haven't had the right teacher to teach it to you, because it's a teacher's job to make it so that you can understand organizing. And I thought, well, I mean, people in the Organized 365 community get organized. And my definition of organized is your home is organized, your paper is organized, and you find out that you have more time than you know what to do with. So you have to put that towards finding your unique purpose, because literally all the work is done. There's no more work. And we were finding that in Organized 365, like, they were like, darn you, Lisa, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but there's nothing left to do around this house because I'm actually organized. And I was like, how do you get there? How do people actually declare that they are organized? And even when I ask a room full of professional organizers, they don't just confidently raise their hand and say, I am organized. They kind of hem and haw, and then they go, oh, I'm an organizer. I should say I'm organized. And it's because when I ask that question, it's an all or nothing. Are you organized? Yes, but my backpack is a mess, or I didn't get to that nightstand drawer, or you're thinking about your storage room. You're thinking about one space that's not organized. So you're not perfect. So you can't say, yes, I'm organized. And I thought back to other industries where we used to think that way. And the one that I think about the most is Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey has you work on being debt-free, and then you can scream, I'm debt-free, right, on his show. But you also know where you are in the process of getting debt-free. You're like, I have my $1,000 emergency fund. I, am consumer debt-free. I am mortgage debt-free. I am, and you know where you are on that. I have no problem having mortgage debt. I don't have to scream I'm debt-free on a radio station, but I also understood how to get an emergency fund and pay off my consumer debt from Dave Ramsey. So he still taught me, and I'm happy with my level of organization. How can we do that at home? How can we create categories where you could say, I am personally organized and storage organized. I don't have paper, and I don't want to get family organized. And in that way, you get to choose what categories you organize, and you get a game plan for organizing each of those areas. So these are the 4 categories, essential categories of home organization. And then there are 2 optional. We're not going to talk about kids and photos and memories. So when we went back and we said 84% of people believe that organization is a learnable skill, in this survey, it went up to 87%. 87% of those surveyed believe that organization is a learnable skill. And this is the grade they gave themselves in each category. So I believe it's learnable, but 15, 14, 13, and 18%, not even 1 in 6, gave themselves a I'm organized in this category. I mean, that's so low. That's so low. 87% believe it. That is so, I'm just like, I got my own results back. I was like, it's worse than I thought. Like, and the reason why I'm so going over this so deeply is because, one, I want you to realize you are not alone. Like, clearly, pretty much everybody knows you can learn it, but I didn't learn it. So then what do you think? Well, something's the matter with me, right? And I want to, first of all, say there's nothing the matter with you. This is not taught well. It's not taught well in schools, in businesses, anywhere. Like, all the small businesses I know are such a hot mess because they don't teach organization to their employees. So this is a skill that desperately needs to be learned. So let's break it down for these categories at home for getting it organized. First of all, we totally overestimate what we can do in a week or a weekend, and we underestimate what we could do in 12 to 18 months. raise your hand if you've been like, I'm going to take back this house and get it organized on like a Friday. And by Sunday night, like you're exhausted, there are black bags everywhere. And you're like, this is going to take forever. Forget it. Like I got rid of stuff, but I still don't feel organized.
Have you
And
been
the reason
watching my house?
no, I have not. I'm like
Just
trying to
kidding.
stay.
I'm just,
You're blacked out, Keith.
I know, but I would raise my hand gladly.
So I figured this out about 5 years ago, and it was really to encourage the Organized 365 audience. When you look at this cycle, there is a cycle of organizing. It starts with that decluttering, that weekend where you're like, if it's not breathing, it is leaving. And you know, the last week of the year is that way. You've got a spring break week that way. You'll have a week this summer. You're like, everything in the garage is coming out. And then you could see a whole bunch of printables and courses and whatever on increasing your productivity and making things digital and making things, beautiful, decorated, or, doing a whole house renovation project. That is really increasing productivity and decorating. But this middle piece, organizing, that's the skill. It's very rarely taught. It starts with decluttering. They skip over organizing and they go to increase productivity. This is what this looks like. Declutter your file cabinet and then scan everything to digital. It doesn't really actually help you. Declutter your entire closet and then put everything on flocked hangers. Okay, but did you also buy things? Because there may be categories in your closet that you actually need to buy things in. And this organizing is where this learning happens. So in the 4 categories of organization, we're going to start with personal space organization. I love to start with personal space organization because you can do it in secret. How many of you have told people like, I am going to get organized, and then you weren't organized, and then you feel double judged because you're judged by yourself and whoever you told. So let's just do this one in private. Your personal space organization usually will not get undone by another person. So that's a bonus. You could take as long as you want to do it because it's not affecting other people. It's just affecting you. And you'll start to notice immediate results in each of these areas that you do. So your personal clothing, if I were to walk in your closet right now and I knew where you were going and I grabbed something out and I said, you have to put this on, we're leaving the house in 10 minutes. Would you be happy with what I picked out? That's how you declutter your closet. Anything that you don't want to put on, that doesn't fit, that you're not really sure about, those are the clothes that need to go. So personal clothing. Second is your personal bedroom. We store a lot of things in our bedroom. It's actually kind of a storage room usually. Things get put there when we don't know what they are, but they're too important to put in a basement, or we're hiding them from our kids, or it's kind of a project in place, but we don't have a place to put it. So your personal bedroom is an area. Your bathroom supplies, oh my gosh, this is revolutionary. Like if you would just every morning when you get ready, throw away a couple of trial things that you're never going to use, or bottles that are almost empty, or consolidate things. If you could get your bathroom supplies down to just the essentials that you always use, because you know what you like, you don't need that much variety in your bathroom, you will start to shave so many minutes off your morning and evening routine. So that's huge. Your car or your vehicle, whatever your transportation is, and then your purse, wallet, or backpack. That is your personal space organization. Once all of those are organized, they need to be gone through about every, 3 times a year. You do this going into fall, you do it going in winter, you do it going into summer, you're going to check all of these areas. That is personal organization. Our survey showed that 62% of women and 38% of men feel that their anxiety prevents them from organizing their personal spaces. So when you think about that, when I was talking about the closet earlier, how many of you were like, oh no, first of all, you're not allowed in my closet. And second of all, you better not pick most of the things that are in my closet. And if you're feeling that way, you may be like I was in 2012. So I go into great detail on this in my book. We didn't have any money. And I had clothes in my closet, but none of them fit. And the clothes didn't fit because I was bigger, because I had been on antidepressants, and we had been in debt for a while, and parents had gotten divorced, and my dad had passed away. And it was just not a very happy point in my life. I will tell you that. But the clothes that were in the closet that did not fit and would never fit again were from a time when our family had more money and we went on vacations and my mom bought me clothes, and they're very nice clothes that I could never afford to replace at the time. And so I wasn't really sure what to do. I literally did not have enough clothes to wear for the week. I had to do laundry like every 3 days because I only had 3 outfits that I could put together, like 2 pairs of jeans and some tops that still fit. And so what I ended up doing over the course of that year in that closet was slowly getting rid of things that I knew I was never going to use again. It took me a whole year to really get down to what I actually was going to wear. And I started building a new wardrobe at a resale shop. So I went to a resale shop and I bought tops and jeans that would be from White House Black Market and Talbot's and Nordstrom's and all these stores I could never go to. But the pieces I was buying were $5, $7, or $10 a piece. And I started to create a wardrobe that looked and felt like what I wanted my future self to be, my own style. I was going into my 40s. What did I want to look like? And I could try on different designers. That's how I found I like White House Black Market, because their pieces always fit me the best because I have a few curves. And I eventually had a really, really nice recycled wardrobe that was way better than the store-bought wardrobe I had that did not work for me. So this kind of organizing, the process of becoming an organized person, you need to give yourself grace. You need to give yourself time. You need to think and feel those emotions. I don't know how the men would feel about my book, but the girls are going to laugh hysterically when I talk about the pantyhose that I was saving that I would never wear again. Like, we save stuff in our house, and we have so many emotions and thoughts about the future life we thought we would be living. And sometimes the things that we save have us focused on the life that has not materialized before us. And we miss the awesome things of the life that we're actually living because we're looking at those things that no longer serve us. So personal organization is where I say you start, because it's hard to organize other people. It's hard to organize yourself, but until you learn how to do it, it's much harder to help other people. The second space, and this is where almost everyone starts, and actually I counsel you possibly to do this one last, is family space organization. So family space organization is basically anything that would be on a first floor of a 2-story house. So your kitchen, living room, family room, guest bathroom, all of those general communal family areas. Why I say, well, we always start there because that is where our friends and family come in and they see, right? And we feel judged. Like, we feel judged when we're in those spaces. First of all, when you go in your family and friends' houses, do you judge them? Probably not. And if you do, you don't see the level of disorganization that they think that you see. So first of all, don't feel as much judgment as you do, because you're probably not judging other people. Once I realized that people weren't really looking, I was like, yeah, whatever, just come in, grab a water, let's go out on the back deck, and don't worry about it. The other reason why I say to do this one last is because, well, first of all, it deals with your family, which may not be on the same organizing journey that you're on, but also these are your most lived in spaces in the house, and they need constant reorganization and maintenance. I mean, constant reorganization and maintenance. Even if you are an adult living on your own, you make different food today than you do in December, than you do in March, than you do in November. Like, we need turkey things, we need sugar cookie things, we need crockpot things, we need grilling things. Like, you're always using different things in all these different areas of your house. Multiply that by how many people. And if any of those people are under the age of 18, multiply that by 3 to 4 times a year. Like a baby, I can't, we have a grandbaby, he's 9 months. I can't even tell you how much stuff has come in and already gone out in 9 months. It's like thousands, 10,000. It's a ridiculous amount of things and dollars that flow in and out. Their food preferences, what they eat, when they sleep, diapers, all of it, clothes. It's just constant. Your goal is to survive this area. 83% of those in the survey agreed that different stages of life require different approaches to home organization. This applies to family organization the most. Paper storage and personal organization, you can set that for decades, sometimes forever. But family space organization always has to be redone and remaintained. And that's why you feel like you got this done, but you didn't make much progress. So the third area is storage space organization. And the only reason I put this after family organization is because you don't want to do it. You don't want to go down there. You just don't want to go down there or up there or in there or wherever there is. It's hot, it's dusty, it's dirty. You don't remember what you put there. You should have never put it there to begin with. And now you've got to deal with it and you just don't want to. So when you're thinking about your storage space, everyone has some storage space. Some have all of them. It's the garage or the basement or the attic, your shed, could be a spare bedroom, could be the corner of a room, could be a complete offsite storage unit. This storage space, I want you to forever forward think about this way. It is your already paid for store. That's what it is. That's what storage is. It is your already paid for store. The only reason you put something in storage is because you paid for it and you might need it in the future. Now, we conceptually say, yes, I paid for this. I might need it in the future. And we put it down there because we don't want to recycle it. We don't want to trash it. We don't want to donate it. We don't want to give it back. We don't want to decide. And we put it in storage, and our storage rooms are like just bubbling over. When I used to do in-home professional organizing, Carol and I would go in to tackle a storage room, and within 90 minutes, the homeowner would come down and 50% of the space was emptied every single time. And they'd say, what'd you do? And we were like, we got rid of all the empty boxes. That's basically what we did. We would get rid of all the empty boxes and all the boxes that had one little thing in it. And we started to containerize things. So you put empty boxes. You do not need empty boxes. Get rid of all those. I stored a broken stereo in my basement. Why? For what purpose? And I stored all of my baby toys down there, which I haven't given to my grandchild. And now somebody told me I need to test them all for lead. I'm like, they're plastic. They're like, yeah, there was lead and plastic. I was like, it's amazing Gen Xers survived is all I have to say. Down the really big metal slides, flying around on those metal merry-go-rounds and licking lead paint. Apparently that's what we did. Why did I store all this? I'm not even going to be able to give it to my grandkids. So when you think about it as a store, you don't want to stack up boxes or stack up bins. Are you going to really move the top 2 bins off so you can get the other bin out and then move? No, you're not. You're going to be like, I just don't need it. I'll not put up those decorations this season. So put in shelving and get plastic bins and actually create a store for your holiday decorations, for your travel stuff, for your displays that you want to put on in your house for decorating that you don't have there, clothes that are off season or clothes that are 1 size bigger or smaller, but not clothes that are 4 size bigger or smaller. Because let's just face it, if you're going to lose the weight, go buy new clothes. Even if you're buying it at a resale shop, get yourself new clothes. Don't store all of the old things. So that is storage organization. 66% of those surveyed agree they feel underappreciated for the time they take to create their home organization systems. This is a gift you're giving yourself. Yes, your family will benefit, but once you can get over not trying to do this for someone else or wanting someone else to give you the accolades, and you're really just doing this for you, freeing up your time, freeing up your space for whatever is next, then you'll be more motivated. And 68% agree that they often get sidetracked when they're in the middle of organizing their home. Now, I know you're going to say yes. I do too. Here's the thing. When you're at home and you're doing anything at home, you are multitasking. You're changing the laundry and cleaning the house and starting the dishwasher or what, like, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen if you get sidetracked at home. Like, you're not writing nuclear codes or anything. So I think we give ourselves a lot of grief over being sidetracked when we're organizing, instead of saying, wow, I did 40 minutes of organizing. As long as everything is productive and you keep at it and keep at it, eventually you'll turn around and it will all be organized. It doesn't have to be done in a perfect order, or you don't have to finish this whole thing before you move on to the next. As long as you're spending time organizing, it will all cumulatively lead to having an organized home. And then the last one, I'm not going to talk a lot about this one because this is going to be our whole webinar on the 29th, is paper management systems. We did a whole nother survey on paper organizing, so I'll give you all those statistics, but here's what we found in this one. Specifically, we're talking about your daily mail, your to-do lists, your household projects, files, and taxes. These are the paper management systems. 54% of those surveyed agreed that they have paper piles everywhere. Paper piles everywhere. And when we come back on the 29th, we're going to talk about that paper and the fact that the first 3 categories of paper are almost all mental, and the last 2 are reference. So it's that active mental, keeping track of your to-do list and the mail that's coming in and the things that are coming out of kids' backpacks and the projects you have going on in the house, versus finding tax paper or finding anything that would be in your file cabinet. You can also, if you want to do some homework before the next one, is all this information is in the paper solution. So the reason that your home organization has not worked in the past may be the order that you tried to tackle your home, not your skills. You need to give yourself 12 to 18 months. You need to just 15 to 20 minutes a day. What else can I get organized? What else can I systemize? What else can I eliminate? An organization is like math. You have to add before you subtract, and multiplication is repeated addition. So we often approach organizing as in, I'm going to take a weekend and declutter as much as possible. That's great. Get started there, but then go back to those same exact spaces the next weekend and go, okay, so I decluttered everything out of the storage room. I got rid of all of the empty boxes. I got rid of everything that's broken. Now what is left? How do I make this look like a store? How do I organize into bins or boxes each thing that needs to be organized, and then put them on a shelf so that if I am thinking I need light bulbs, I know exactly where to go down and get them. Or I need everything that we have to celebrate birthdays. I know where to go down and get it, versus it's in storage somewhere. I don't know where it is. Either we just won't have birthday decorations, or I'll go buy more candles because it's easier. See what I'm saying? It's your already paid for store. Now, one more thing I want to explain before I go is that here at Organize 365, we have divided one 12-month calendar year into 3 smaller years. I call them mini years. And they are June through August, which is your summer, September through December, which is your fall, and then January through May. And if you really think about it, you set personal goals and your whole household kind of changes if you're in the United States based on these seasons. Like, hello, we're in summer. Don't you have a little bit different of a wardrobe and an after work routine or a daytime routine? Like, everything changes in summer, even if you don't have children. The traffic patterns change. There are a lot more federal holidays in the summer than there are in the other months. The days are longer in the United States, so you stay up later. I wake up earlier because the sun is up earlier. So you just have a different kind of a day than you do in the fall and you do in the spring. And each of these seasons, I encourage people to go through their entire home. So declutter if you're going to work on your personal organizing, you're going to organize your closet in the summer, in the fall, and in the winter, and you will have been through 1 calendar year in your closet. Also, you could pick just one area each season to focus on. So you may want to, it's summer, you may want to just focus on your personal organizing from now until September. Or maybe you have some more free time and you want to do your storage room because you can empty all that out and you can have a big garage sale. So focusing on one area of organizing each of these smaller years, you could get your whole house organized in 18 months. So Bill Gates says, most people in business overestimate what they can do in 1 year in business and underestimate what they can do in 10 years in business. So I say most people underestimate what taking a full 365 days to focus on getting organized will do to transform the next 10 years of your life. And we see it over and over and over again. The more that the Organized 365 community shares their stories with me, I just can't contain myself. I cannot even go into my app or look at my DMs on Instagram in the evening because I get too excited and I can't fall asleep because I'm like, I have to tell more people that there is a plan in order to get organized. So I told you guys about the Sunday basket when we did our first presentation together about how ADHD affects home organization. Organizing the home is part of the productive home solution, and the binders that we're going to talk about on the 29th is also in the productive home solution. And you can find out all of the information about the Organized 365 products at, actually it should be ADHD online, at organized365.com/ADHD online is the unique link just for this audience.
Excellent. Awesome. Wow, Lisa, I'm always amazed by these sessions. I feel like I'm sitting in the front of the class and I'm learning. And there were a few comments that came in. You said, I think, that underestimating what you can, or overestimating what you can do in a weekend, but underestimating what you can do in a year. Several people said these are really poignant and true statements, and it really rang true to me as well. So I was glad to hear them share that. Thank you, Alicia and Abigail, for saying that. You've nailed so many of the projects in my life that my wife and I have gone through, or, where we really do, like, we think like, oh my gosh, we can get this project done in 2 days. And by the second day in, we're kind of both sitting there going like, oh my gosh, what have we started? Right. And then it feels overwhelming. But if I think about it in terms of a distance, or more of like a longer period of time, that just feels much more digestible, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we had a question from Amy. This one I think is relevant for probably all parents. So she says, I'm proud of how organized my closet is and how organized my own personal belongings are. However, my children's closets are an absolute mess. I'm having such a hard time trying to keep my 5-year-old's belongings organized. Any tips?
Yes, I have a lot. Okay, so first of all, your kids will change their clothing like every 3 to 4 months until they're about 5, and they'll be like every 6 months. So it is a never-ending revolving amount of clothes. 2 things. 1, you need to have enough clothes to get through 7 days. So you could just do the laundry 1 or 2 days a week versus trying to do it every day. Secondly, folding is optional. Like, folding is just totally optional. I don't even know why we fold pajamas or any of that. Like, just put it in the same drawer. Doesn't matter. I know some families that just have clean baskets of laundry and dirty baskets of laundry. There's really no reason not to. Right. Always have 2 extra laundry baskets or bins in your kids' room, one with clothes that are too small. So when you know it's too small, you just put it in that bin so you're not grabbing it again. And one with hand-me-downs or things that you've already purchased that are bigger. And you just need to put it on your calendar like every 6 weeks or every 3 months, depending on how fast your kids are growing, to move those things in the bigger bucket in and then move the little ones out and, swap your buckets around. And then as far as kids, actually a little bit older kids actually taking ownership of their own clothes, we have a kids program. It is on the ADHD online page. When you go to the bottom, I show you the Sunday basket. I'd show you the productive home solution. And I do show you the kids program. And so the kids program is for kids basically 7 to 25. And I teach the classes because I'm a teacher. And I have 5 lessons that I walk them through for clothes. So first of all, I talk to them about why they like the clothes they like. What are their favorite clothes? What are the attributes of those? What they do and don't like of the clothes that you've bought for them that they don't want to wear, but you want them to wear. And then I teach them to respectfully articulate to you what they do and don't like about certain kinds of clothing, all the while telling them you don't always get to choose. Like, sometimes you just have to wear whatever they say. But if there's a reason, like turtlenecks are choking you, or this is scratchy, or I don't like the tag, they don't have words to tell you that. So once I tell them, they're like, oh, it is a tag thing. Like, if you didn't realize it, you may never realize it. So they could do that. And then we teach them to hang up everything. It's just easier, and then it doesn't get wrinkled. And some things like that are in the kids program too.
Great. Well, that's super helpful. I think, just from my own experience, and I know you certainly weren't perfect, but working with our kids, getting them involved helped. I mean, it always helped, especially with laundry.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, great tips. All right. Well, we've got another question from Samantha. She says, I moved into my first apartment last year, and I still have boxes I never unpacked in a closet. I also have boxes in my teacher supplies for whatever classroom I'll get next. Do you have any tips for me as a young adult and also for teacher organization?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for your service. I mean, teachers have been through the ringer in the last 2 years, so thank you very much. We just came out with our new education workbox last week, and we have teacher camp this summer. So we can help you get organized with that if you want to check out over at Organize 365. But I was a teacher. I was a preschool teacher. So I had like more teaching supplies than I had personal supplies. So I understand those. I would, as long as the boxes are well labeled, then just store them wherever you can in your store for if you get that job. And then for the boxes that you moved and haven't opened, just give yourself a goal that like, okay, by the end of June, all of these boxes are at least going to be opened so that you know what you have. And then when you open them, if you don't still love it, it's okay to get rid of it, even though you already paid for it. If it doesn't fit this new place you're living or your design aesthetic might have changed, it's okay. It's okay to go ahead and get rid of those things.
Yeah. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves permission to let them go.
Yeah.
We think we need to hold on to them or
Mhm.
we'll forget. So great. All right. Well, thank you. Well, we just had another a comment come in, and this one feels very relevant. This seems like something that probably a lot of people go through with organization or one of those kind of inflection points. So Anna said, 6 years ago, I went through a traumatic experience. My ADHD set in hard and I struggled to get anything done at home. I work full time, but on weekends, I find myself avoiding my home responsibilities and I just sit all weekend long. Maybe this isn't the forum to ask for guidance, but I could really use your help.
So this is, you are the clients that I would go into their houses and professionally organize. And this is why I started Organize 365, was because I enjoyed being an in-home professional organizer in Cincinnati, but the homes that I was in, usually the women were diagnosed with ADHD and they had enough financial resources to hire a professional organizer to come in, which was not inexpensive. And I realized after I had been organizing a client 4 times, we got her closet organized and she just broke down crying. And I was like, oh no, what have I done wrong? Like I've done something wrong. And she said, I can go to work now. And I was like, what are you talking about? And she said, I didn't know how I would get myself dressed and my kids dressed and out at the same time. But now I could actually leave the house. And that's when I realized that most of the clients I had was professionally organizing. They did not give themselves permission to leave the house because their to-do list wasn't done. And their spouses, even though they loved them and they, afforded them a private professional organizer, they didn't realize that they were creating an expectation, these were all women, for that woman to have her homework done before she was allowed to go out and do anything. And they never had their homework done. And so they never left. And that's when I realized that there are more women than you realize trapped in their homes, feeling that they don't have the permission to leave. And often their spouses and their parents don't realize what they say, how it's impacting these women, and the internal voices that are going on inside of their head, that they see the Pinterest, they see the Instagram, they see the TV show, and they go, well, I'm not there yet, so I can't leave. I can't do it. Or like you're saying, you're like, I'm not even going to try because I know I can't reach that. And that is one thing that Organize 365 really, really wants to dispel. I don't have any pictures of afters on my website anywhere because I don't live in a magazine. Like I don't. So I teach functional organizing. I give you a lot of grace. I tell you, it's going to take 12 to 18 months. Who does that? Nobody does that.
Right.
You need to learn a skill. It changes every phase of life. You're organized enough that you can go out and do what you love. So I would say, first of all, you just need to give yourself grace. Listen to our podcast, watch these webinars again, and look, if 87% of people surveyed, of 1,500 people, agree that organization is a learnable skill, and yet almost none of them have it, you are not alone. Like, I think we feel like we are totally alone and everybody else has it together but us. No, nobody has it together. Nobody has it together. There's nobody except that one friend you have. Just stop going to their house because that is not helpful for you.
Well,
and then just pick your area.
I think ADHD people, those of us with ADHD, imposter syndrome is very real for us, right? Because we go into that loop of self-doubt and can really hang on it. Yeah, no, it's very real. But I would encourage you, it is sometimes it's just a little bit at a time, and that sounds easy, but I know that it's not. So we totally feel you, Anna. It's like
start in your bathroom. It's a project that just set a timer, 15 minutes a day. You have to keep getting rid of all those little trial things that you're afraid to get rid of. Get rid of all those. There's a shampoo you bought that was expensive that you hate, throw it away. Like get down to just the things that you use until there's literally nothing that you can organize in your bathroom anymore. It may take you 6 weeks. And then every time you walk in that bathroom, say to yourself, I am bathroom organized. And it sounds silly, but just I'm bathroom organized, and then move on to your nightstand or the silverware drawer or something else and grow your muscles.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and she just commented. She said, "My kids are worried I'm becoming a hoarder because my house is a disaster. There's no organization. I worry I'll have an emergency and fire or paramedics will need to come into my home." She said she's feeling ashamed of how she lives, and I'm a professional woman who makes well over six figures, but I'm a
Mhm.
total mess. I mean, you're not alone.
You are not alone. I mean, I remember, and you don't know the impact you have when you have an online business like you do when I was in home organizing. But I'll remember a couple of years ago, there was somebody in our community, and she said, my kids are so excited. We had Christmas in the living room under the tree. Last year, we had Christmas on my bed because that's where we did everything because you couldn't walk in our house. So we ate and slept and did every single thing on my bed. And now I'm having Christmas under my tree. And she did it on her own using the Organized 365 system. She did not have the resources for a professional organizer. But if you do have the resources for a professional organizer, that would be a way to jumpstart it as well and get the kids to help.
Well, that's actually a great segue because someone asked, Casey asked, how do I find a professional organizer within
Mhm.
my area?
So Organized 365 has certified organizers that are certified in paper organization, but a lot of them also offer in-home services. So you can go to organized365.com and search our directory, or just Google it, certified organizer in whatever your city is.
Right. Yeah.
Professional organizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple in every city.
So let's see. I think Amy just confirmed, I think what you mentioned, just the impact of social media, how that, it's that fear. I mean, it's taken the living up to the Jones, it's taken that to the next level, right? Where people are, they don't realize people are living kind of a curated life.
Yeah.
And that one photo that looks so great might have taken 2 hours to snap. So, anyways, well, Jessica threw a comment in. She said, "I love your podcast, Lisa. Highly recommend listening to them. I listen while I declutter my house. It keeps me motivated."
Thank you.
Casey said, "Thank you. I live in a very small country town in Ohio." So this was interesting. I just saw, my wife was watching a YouTube video this week where a woman was talking about using a virtual organizer that kind of did a consultation via Zoom like this, and sent a whole system, had done some measurements. Have you had any experience with that, or have you ever done that?
Yeah, I did virtual organizing. Well, all of our paper organizing was done virtually for a while. A lot of the certified organizers do virtual organizing. I also, as an organizer, would travel to places where people, if it was a big enough job and we were going to get it done. When you're looking for a professional organizer, look for someone who not only is going to fix the problem, but is going to teach you organizing. Because, like I said, teachers can fail to teach, but students cannot fail to learn. So is the organizer just going to make the space look organized, or are they going to teach you the skills? And are they going to take into account your learning style, your season of life, your phase of life, your, work style? Many professional organizers do, and some professional organizers have a system that they put in all their homes, and others are very custom. I was a Montessori teacher, so everything I did was very custom. And if you're looking to learn a skill, you want somebody who's really going to do as much question and answer as they are actual implementation, not just come in and do it for you.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Unless you want them to do it for you and then learn after.
Right. No, yeah, and I'm sure some do. So this again kind of goes right into the next comment. Jessica asked, any tips for if you and people you live with have different styles or goals for organization?
Yes. So start with yourself. Always, always, always start with yourself. So what I found in my whole year of getting organized, other than getting the kids on board, I have never tried to organize my husband or asked him to organize the way that I organize. Now, I organize most of the house, and he complains all the time that I put things that are not in the right place, but it's fine. Here's how this works. In the kitchen, I take him in. I'm like, look, I reorganized the kitchen. I open all the cabinets, and like after the second cabinet, he's like, yeah. I'm like, no, look at the project I did. And he kind of does. But I do the dishes and I empty the dishwasher. So I put everything back where it goes. So that's fine. He does all the grocery shopping and the cooking. So he takes everything out. So it actually works for us. And usually what I found, I was so disorganized and I did not have any systems at home by the time I turned 40 after being in that really low place for a while, that it took me a whole year just to focus on me. And I did the whole storage room. I think my husband goes down there like every 10 years. He doesn't even know what's down there unless he needs a suitcase. That's it. So I just focus on me.
Yeah. Well, so I think that's really where you have to start. I know you even mentioned in the Sunday basket, everyone in the house should probably have their own, so they can keep their own system, right? So
correct.
All right. Well, we got another comment from Molly. She said, I love buy nothing groups when I declutter items. Sometimes I feel super guilty for buying an item that ended up not being used. With these groups, I get to see their face and their excitement for the item they needed more than you. That's
awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
I love that.
But also don't hold on. So it could go either way. I didn't have time to do those groups when I was doing mine. I did a couple garage sales and then that was it. So I don't feel guilty dropping everything off at Goodwill. In our community, Goodwill provides so many jobs. And then there's also a way for those that are disadvantaged to get Goodwill dollars, and they actually get to go in the store and buy things with Goodwill dollars. So it's not actually that they're buying them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not every community is the same. So for me, just to be able to get it out and get it out and get it out worked, because sometimes you can get hung up on how is it being recycled? How is it being used? How is it? And that can stop you from eliminating things in your home. So any way you can do it is great. And I know if you're getting rid of baby stuff, there are always people that are looking for free or low cost things for babies because they're ridiculously expensive.
Ridiculously. And people were asking in the chat, and maybe I'll ask Molly to share if she has any information about some of the Buy Nothing groups she uses online. People were just asking about them. So we had another comment from Casey. This feels relevant too. She said, I'm embarrassed to say, but I've had my friends and family help me organize many times, but I can't maintain it. I'm really struggling to keep up with everything. And my husband makes me feel like I'm not good enough, really makes me feel like a failure. I work full-time as a registered nurse. We have 2 kids with special needs that have therapy several times a week. So when it comes to having time to organize my home, I feel like I just don't have time.
So again, registered nurse, thank you for your service. You've had quite a few 2 years. It's nearly impossible. It is nearly impossible to work full-time, run a household full-time, and have kids that have extra needs. And it's 1 out of every 3 kids in the United States has special needs. So it's a high, high preponderance. The divorce rate for parents of special needs is 85%.
Wow.
It is that high. Yeah. So sometimes the spousal conversation about the disorganization at home is an acceptable way to express frustration at being in a situation that you cannot control with your kids. And so if you think about it that way, you go, okay, we're going to complain about this pile because we can't really complain about Billy. So, all right, I'm just going to take it. But I did take it as a personal attack on me for a long time as well. So I think that we definitely do internalize that. The other thing I would say is that in the book, How ADHD Affects Home Organization, which you also can get the free Audible version on that link, organize365.com/ADHD online. I talk about how the more executive functions are impacted by your ADHD, the harder it is to initially set up your organization at home. You can maintain it, but you can only maintain it for a period of time. And then you do need a professional organizer to come in and reset that system. It's kind of like if you think about your kids cleaning their rooms. Like if they don't do it every single Saturday, when it goes 2 weeks, then it's like you have to go in and help them because it's a little bit more than they can handle. Executive function, like 6 out of 8 of the executive functions are all about organization, planning, like they're all things that we with ADHD struggle with. So yes, it's going to be hard to set up the system. So if you can get the system set up, then it is the discipline of maintaining it. But in your case, and I would put this back on your husband, it's a discipline of the family maintaining it. So every night after dinner, nobody goes upstairs until everything is put away. And if you could get it organized again, and truly no one goes upstairs until it's put away, and the whole family helps to maintain that order, then it will stay organized longer.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, we do it, those conversations have to happen more often, especially when you're juggling so much.
Mhm.
So let's see. Thanks everyone for the chat.
Mhm.
It's been very helpful. I think people are just sharing a lot of empathy with each other. This
Yeah.
story is
Yeah.
resonating. I think we're finding those things that are kind of those things that pull us together. Molly said, heralding back to the previous thought, sometimes what people think is the proper place for someone is not the same for everyone.
Yes.
Sometimes for ADHD, the keys on the fridge work better than by the door. It may not make sense for everyone, but it's your keys and your place.
Exactly. That's why you need a professional organizer that asks more questions versus just implement systems that have worked somewhere else. Because where I look for nail clippers is actually in the kitchen drawer, not upstairs. You see what I'm saying? Like it's not necessarily, you want your house to function how you use it. I have scissors in every room in my house because I love scissors, and I do not like it when I cannot find scissors. So it's okay for me to have 18 pairs of scissors. I don't care.
Sure.
We have 2 different office stations, one upstairs, one downstairs. My kitchen for a long time functioned as an office, but it was a kitchen because we don't have a home office, or the kids' stuff is a certain place. So wherever you use things, make an organizational system right there where you're already putting it. Don't move it to somewhere else. You'll never use it. You'll never find it. Then you'll be like, where did that go? And then when you go to reorganize again, you'll find it that way. So you want to find systems for how you're already using your house instead of having your house match some system that you can buy.
Yeah. And that's that makes complete sense to me. And, the other thing that you said that I just wanted to kind of highlight, because it's something I hear our providers say a lot, and I'm certainly not a clinician, but untreated ADHD's impact on your ability to organize or tackle many of the things you may feel are your biggest challenge is significantly higher than people who are treating their ADHD, whatever that treatment may be, right? We know it's not, for some it's stimulants, for some it's therapy, for some it's buildings, systems that work for themselves. And that really does, it's up to the individual. But I think we know from all of our patients that when it's untreated, it is much harder to get through anything, especially something that can feel so monumental as organizing.
Yeah, and organization is a treatment. I mean, organization helps everyone.
Right.
And it also, the more order, this is why, so for example, our kids went to a learning disability school called Springer School and Center. And a lot of the kids who went there also had ADHD. And they said, in our environment, if your child still is exhibiting ADHD symptoms, they have ADHD.
Right.
But we have so many things in our environment that support kids with learning disabilities that some who were diagnosed with ADHD do not have ADHD.
It's
so
true.
For example, the hallways are carpeted. So you don't hear the clicking of noise outside of the hallway. So if your child is still distracted, that means they're internally distracted, not externally distracted. So Same in your house. If your home is organized and everything has a place and you have that, then your internal ADHD is at a lower level, because a lot of those organizational structures are visually around you. Like a kindergarten classroom is very organized. You can get a lot more done in that classroom than you could if you were just like in a craft store trying to do something. Imagine how distracting that is. So the organization actually lowers the need for your executive function to be at such a high level.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got just a couple of minutes. It's really some great comments in the chat. We're not going to be able to get to all of them, but this one, again, I think it kind of goes with this theme of when we're dealing with something. So Dawn asked, my husband passed away last year, and I struggle with letting go of his belongings. Any suggestions? That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. And I would do this a lot as an in-home professional organizer too. And then my father passed away. what I observed, and I'm not a clinician either, Keith, but what I observed is there seems to be something that happens around 5 years. And then once we hit the 5-year mark after my father had passed, I saw it happen with my sister. I was like, unbelievable. It just tends to be like 5 years. Somehow at 5 years, the person and the item are not as connected in your body as they are right now. And so I am not the organizer that tells you to live a minimalist life. I'm not the organizer that tells you have to get rid of everything to be organized. I actually prefer you keep more things than you get away, because if you give things away and you donate things out of, I can't believe I'm still looking at this. How did I not already get rid of this? Then you don't have that, ooh, I might need that feeling inside, and you just give from a much better place of freedom. So there are a couple of things. One, you can move them from where they are to a storage, and then from storage to donating. You can leave them right where they are for the rest of your life if you want. There's no reason you can't.
Yeah.
There are a couple of fun things you can do. You can make like teddy bears that'll have like his little shirt on and a little tie. You can make pillows out of ties and shirts and overalls or old uniforms. There are things you can do with those clothes that can kind of repurpose them, and then you have that inside of your house. So it's fine to not do anything. And it's also fine to be like, okay, I'm going to do pants. Pants weren't really a big thing, so I'll keep a couple of pairs of pants and get rid of all the pants. But
Yep.
my dad was a golfer, so we kept all the golf shirts. And then eventually we took the little insignias on those golf shirts and turned it into a buffet runner that I have in my dining room. So I'm really a big proponent on taking some of those things and turning it into something you'll actually see every day that's out in public. You say, oh yeah, my dad was a great golfer, and look at all the courses that he played at. And so it's in a conversation with other people as well. But hold on to it until you're ready. Don't let anybody tell you like, Mom, it's been a year, you should be done with this. No, just say, oh yeah, I talked to a professional organizer. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Lisa gave you permission.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, we will wrap with that. Lisa, we really look forward to the next webinar on organizing paper. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, today. Apologize that we couldn't get to all of the questions and comments, but really appreciate the engagement. And as always, really appreciate all the knowledge that you shared with us and our audience. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thanks, Keith.
Yep, we'll talk soon.